Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DC Capstone Report. It's great to be back with you again this week for the live podcast that we do each and every week here on Alabama football. Lance Shores and I look forward each week to bringing this podcast to you. We thank you for all those who tune in. We're overwhelmed with the support that you give us, and we just really appreciate you caring about what we want to say and what we think about Alabama football. Well, it's been a crazy 2020 so far, and it got crazy last week. We did a podcast that previewed the LSU game, and then all of a sudden the LSU game was off because of the COVID protocols that happening at LSU. So Alabama got an extra bye week. So, today on the podcast, in the very first segment, we're going to take a look at that extra bye week and what did Alabama gain from that extra week off. In the second segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Kentucky Wildcats, and we're going to look at it from a defensive perspective. In the third and final segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against Kentucky, and we're going to look at it from an offensive perspective. You're listening to the DC Capstone Report. The DC Capstone Report is featured each Tuesday morning on the Martin Houston Show at Tide 100.9. You can listen live at Tide100.9.com. Well, welcome back to the DC Capstone Report. It's always good to talk about Alabama football when you got a game ahead. And we got a game this coming Saturday, 3 p.m. kickoff at Bryant-Denny Stadium versus the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky's going to come in with a record of 3-4. Alabama sitting at number 1 in the nation with 6-0 record. Well, this first segment today, we're going to concentrate on that extra bye week that we got. We all know now that the game didn't happen against LSU because LSU was in the protocols for the virus. It seems to be a kind of an uptick in that around the nation and around the league. The SEC has a lot of games that were having to be rescheduled or canceled. It's yet to remain to be seen what's going to happen with that LSU game, but what did Alabama do with that extra bye week of practice? Well, what we learned is a lot of the information that was coming out of the practices is they had a great week of practice getting ready for the LSU game and concentrating on LSU, and they were thinking they were going to play, and when they were told they were going to play, they continued to operate as if they were going to, and continued to get ready for the LSU game. Hopefully it'll be rescheduled soon, and all that work that they put in will be come to fruition when we do play LSU later in the season. Now they switched gears this week, and it was up in the air Monday as to who we were going to play. Was it going to be Kentucky? But as Coach Saban said in his press conference, Kentucky was the team, so we started preparing for them. It looks like that's what's going to be the game this coming Saturday, 3 p.m. against the Kentucky Wildcats. Well, in that extra week, what did that do to Alabama? Well, it can be a positive, and I think that's what's going to take place. We're going to realize it's been a positive. What are some of the positive things that come out of that extra week? Well, the number one thing is we talked about when we previewed having the original bye week was that Alabama needed to get healthy. We're 6 games into the season, and we have to realize we played an SEC schedule, so every game has been a tough game. And we're 6 games into the season now, and when we say that, it seems like we're in a half season, but when you think about it, we're actually we're where we would be in 11 games in a normal season. So all the practice time and all the mental preparedness and mental toughness is taken to get to where we are with all the stuff that's going on with COVID. This Alabama team needed a break. So I know the first week of bye was good, and I know they wanted to play the LSU game. All the players want to play because that's a national stage where they could create value for themselves, and they was excited about that. But the extra week of off week has definitely developed us into a point where we can get some rest. And I think the number one thing we needed was mental rest and physical rest in order to get some players healthy. So coming out of that extra bye week, I think we're going to see some players that played through some injuries be able to be better and ready to play in this game against Kentucky. So extra rest and getting healthy is really, really a good thing. The second thing I think come out of it was we had more time to concentrate on the defense. I think the defense came out with a lot of extra momentum, and I believe we had some more time to concentrate on this defense and get ready for the upcoming schedule, the second half of the season, if you will. The defense had some time to study and look at do some self scouting to see what kind of tendencies we have and what kind of things we were able to get in, what schemes, what positions, what formations work best. And I think that bodes well for this defensive team to do that extra week of practice and self-scouting. And third and finally, I think that what this extra week did for us is it gave us an opportunity to find that extra additional playmaker on offense to kind of help replace the deep threat that Jalen Waddle. And that remains to be seen. Did Javon Baker step up in practice? I've heard some good things about what he's been able to do. And if he did, that yet remains to be seen. But I think it's going to have an opportunity we'll see in this Kentucky game. If he gets on the field, we'll know that little experiment proved to be good. So I think overall the extra bye week can be positive. Is there any negatives that come to it? Yeah, there's some negatives that could come with it. The letdown of not playing LSU and the 2 weeks off could show a little rust. If it's going to show any rust, it'll show in the first couple of series on defense. It's been my experience that if you're just a little bit 2 weeks of delay in playing and you get out on the field, you're a little bit slower, you're not as quick, you're not as into the game, the speed of the game on defense if you let your guard down. So that's some things to watch for when we come out against Kentucky. But overall, I think the extra bye week is going to be a positive thing, especially in getting healthy, staying healthy, and getting some players back to play in some opportunities to play reps on defense that really gets them ready for the rest of the season. Another tidbit coming out of the bye week we learned was that Jalen Waddle is really on an accelerated rate of getting back to playing time. And there's some question, will he be ready to come back for the national championship game should Alabama make it all the way to the championship game? So that remains to be seen. We'll see if he can, should he? That's another question that will have to be answered. But if any training staff, any doctors, any strength and conditioning performance coach can get him ready, I think he's at the best place to be ready to play. And we'll just see if that happens or not. Well, here on the second segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Kentucky Wildcats. Kentucky comes in to the Bryant-Denny Stadium at 3 o'clock on Saturday with a 3-4 record. They've played some good games. They've been in a couple of games that they didn't get a chance to win, but had opportunities to win. Alabama's going to go out and going to be ready to play in this game, I think. And the biggest matchup, I think, in this second segment we're going to talk about is Alabama's defense versus Kentucky's offense. Kentucky's going to bring into the Bryant-Denny Stadium a run-oriented offense, and not just any run-oriented offense, but a run-oriented offense that's started by a athletic, running quarterback. I think Wilson does a really good job. They don't pass the ball as much. I don't think they have a receiver over 500 yards, but I do think they have capabilities to run the ball and open up some passing lanes. So they're going to come in and have that running quarterback. And when I say a running quarterback, that means almost like in a wildcat formation when they're in running. So Alabama's got to be able to concentrate on that and handle that. This is a good running game by Kentucky. If they come in and run the ball and exploit what they can and get some yardage running the ball, may open up them for some passes late in the game. So what does Alabama have to do? Well, I think Alabama has to stay gap sound. They got to know what they're playing, and you got to play your man and play your gap and make sure that you concentrate on that. There's got to be a good ball-eye orientation. Alabama's got to know who's got the ball, who's running with it, and make sure that they can stay with their man no matter what. I think importance on defense is going to be Dylan Moses and Christian Harris, the middle linebackers, and Will Anderson Jr. and Christopher Allen, the outside linebackers, being able to pursue the quarterback and not let him break contain at the line of scrimmage. Giving him 3 to 5 yards at the line of scrimmage is one thing, but when you're having this 11-on-11 ball and the quarterback breaks, there's only one man in the secondary to beat, that's when you get big plays. So Alabama's been exploited by quarterbacks before in that situation. So what can Alabama do in this situation to make things different? Well, number one, I think this Alabama defense is getting better each week. I think Dylan Moses and Christian Harris are very athletic, and good range to run the field. And I believe Will Anderson Jr. and Christopher Allen can set the edge. I'm not concerned as much about the line. Our line play has been good, stopping at the point of attack at the line. If our linebackers can keep up and play well, then I think that it does good to be able to stop this attack from Kentucky. If Kentucky starts throwing the ball, I really believe our defensive back is going to be in position to really make some plays and really possibly get some turnovers in this game. One thing I want you to watch for on defense is when Alabama's on defense, do we play more of a zone in this game? Now that's important. When you say Why is that important if they don't throw the ball a lot? It's important for the run game with the quarterback running. Most of the time, Alabama's been exploited with a running quarterback. It's when they're scrambling out of the pocket and extending plays. And you know what I mean by that, because we play man aggressive, and we turn and run with the receiver and don't turn around until the receiver turns around. And what that does, it gives the quarterback an opportunity to run without anybody's eyes on him. If we play more of a zone in this game, and you see us backpedaling on our defense's backs and using our eyes into the backfield to watch for that run, I think that's where we're going to be able to stop the quarterback run and extending plays on third down that's hurt us in the past. So watch for us to come out in the zone, and watch for Malachi Moore, that super freshman. He's done a super job this year so far, for him to be able to help and come up in the run game and stopping that quarterback just near to the line of scrimmage. So I think on defense, Alabama's going to need to use our athletic middle linebackers and athletic outside linebackers to stop the quarterback and keep contained. The defensive line is going to have to stop the handoff to the running back on the RPOs. And our defensive back's going to have to give some run support and play more of a zone. If we do all of those things, I believe Alabama is going to come out and do really good on defense. I think we build on a momentum that we've had in the last game that we played, and the game before that. We build that momentum on defense, and we do a really good job. The only thing we need to watch for is what I said in the first segment. Is there going to be any rust on us? Is this layoff going to hurt us anyway? Make sure that they don't get any big plays on that first or second series. But overall, I think Alabama's defense matches up really well against Kentucky's offensive running game. And if we can contain the quarterback, I think we'll have a good day on defense. Well, here on the third and final segment, we're going to preview the Kentucky game, and we're going to look at Alabama's offense versus Kentucky's defense. Kentucky has a couple of good players on defense, have a linebacker that's got over 75 tackles this year so far. They have a defensive back that's got over three interceptions so far. So they've always, I think, leading the SEC at one point this season in pass defense. Alabama's going to have their work cut out for them to be able to match up. But I think Alabama really matches up well against this Kentucky defense, because I think it all starts at the line of scrimmage. The way Kentucky has been able to play so well in the defensive backfield is putting pressure on the quarterback. They have a good defensive line. But I think Alabama has one of the best offensive lines this year in the nation. As our offensive line comes out, I believe if we can impose our will on the offensive line, we're going to see in the trenches it start up front and decide whether or not we're going to have a good game. Watch this game early. Watch for the push that we get on the offensive line, defensive line. Watch for if Kentucky is able to make any movement into the backfield early in the game. If Alabama can maintain their dominance on the offensive line this game, I think Alabama's going to have a really, really good game on offense. So after we start with the offensive line, where is the production going to come from first? Well, I think we have to look to Najee Harris. I have always said, and I believe that this game was circled on the calendar to have a really breakout game for Najee Harris. I thought that he would have a good game in the LSU game. That didn't happen, of course. But I thought he would have a national stage to kind of vault him into conversation of the national awards. And then I thought this Kentucky game, the way Kentucky plays defense, I really thought it was going to set him up to run the ball more. We're going to run the ball more, put us in more of a situation where we run the ball and get the ball to him, and I think he has a really big game. I look for Najee Harris to have over 200 yards in this game and another multiple touchdown game. Catch the ball out of the backfield. I really believe that he's going to be where the offense runs through in this game. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to have a great day passing. I think the fact that he has a good game running the ball is going to open up some downfield play-action passing by Mac Jones. I mean true play-action passes. The more we run the ball with Najee Harris, the more opportunities we give for the defensive backs to creep up to try to help stop that run. And when they do, nobody throws a better deep ball than Mac Jones. So Najee Harris and Mac Jones on offense are going to really be where the production comes, I believe, against this Kentucky Wildcat team. So I look for Najee Harris to run the ball. He's going to get a little more reps also because we got Brian Robinson right behind him, been a little nicked up. Trey Sanders is out because of his car accident. And then you got two freshmen, Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams, right behind them that are going to try to get some playing time. They've had some work in the bye week as well. But Najee Harris is going to be leaned on in this game. As long as he stays healthy in this game, I look for him to have a lot of yards and really have good production. That opens up for Mac Jones. Mac Jones is going to get to target this defensive backs, and if he makes the right reads and throws to the man that's open, and I believe we will have open receivers running wide open in this field based on what I've seen on film. I really believe Mac Jones is the right person. It's going to be a big day for Mac Jones for touchdown passes, especially on the deep balls. So that brings up Devontae Smith and John Mechie. We got those two on the outside, Slade Bolden in the slot. If those two guys can open up and work the deep ball on some of these play action passes, we're going to have them. I think we're going to have them running free in the backfield. I don't think anybody does that better than Devontae Smith. I think everybody knows he likes the slants and the RPOs, but I really think that he loves to set up the defensive back. He loves to set up the defensive back on these play action passes, like he's going to slow down and block, or slow down and do a curl, and then just cut it deep across the middle. So look for Devontae Smith to have a couple of big catches early, John Mechie to have a couple of big catches early over the middle. Now, another thing that I think where we can exploit this Kentucky team is they love to pull their linebackers up to support and stop the run. And if they do that in this game, then that's going to really open up our tight ends dragging across the middle. So look for Miller Forstall, Carl Tucker, Jaleel Billingsley to have a good game dragging across the middle. If the pressure gets there early on Mac Jones, the way Kentucky likes to pressure the quarterback, then watch for the tight end to be a safety valve dragging across the middle. I'm sure Alabama's seen that on film as much as I have. So look for the offense to kind of use the tight end to work in conjunction and with our wide receivers in this game. The last thing on offense to look for is, did Alabama develop another deep threat, a third deep threat during these two off weeks to complement the other Devontae Smith and John Mechie? I've heard that Javon Baker has really had a good couple of weeks of practice. So if that's true, then let's see if it translates in the game. He's number 5. Watch for Javon Baker, true freshman out of Georgia. If he gets in the game, watch for him to have some deep ball threat to see if he can stretch the defense. I've heard he's got some great hands. I've heard he's got some great route running ability, and he really is a deep threat ball. So let's watch and see if Javon Baker can be that third deep threat. So I think basically this game shapes up like this. Kentucky comes in, and they want to try to make a statement. Alabama is got the better team in my opinion. I think we're 30-point favorites. And I just don't think, as long as Alabama plays their game and doesn't turn the ball over, I don't think Kentucky's going to have a chance. Now, every team has a chance to win if one team does make so many mistakes and the other team plays their best game. But if Kentucky plays their best game and Alabama plays a medium game, Alabama still wins this game. But I think Alabama's going to come out. They're going to hit on all cylinders. They're going to be ready to play after 2 weeks off. The defense is going to be fired up and do a good job, get some turnovers. And this offense is going to be able to run the ball, have over 200 yards rushing, and look for over 400 yards passing this game. Over 600 yards of offense. And Alabama wins this game 52-17. Well, that's all this week for the DC Capstone Report. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to Lance for all he does, working on this podcast each and every week. Check him out on his sites at rolltidebama.com and freelancepictures.com for some free pictures and great video content on Alabama football. Well, until next week, this is DC with the DC Capstone Report. Roll Tide.